Hey folks, Burke here from Focus Physical Therapy. A lot of the patients that come through our program end up investing a little bit in home exercise equipment so they can keep doing their rehab. And I can't tell you what a huge difference that makes in their success. So I'm often asked, what should I get? What do I need for basic home rehab style gym? And I'm going to just give you in this quick video a couple of my favorite pieces of equipment that you can add to your tools to make it just that much easier to do your rehab at home. First up, we need a good mat. This is an AirX Corona, and it's about 6 feet by a little bit over 3 feet wide, and it's pretty thick, super grippy, super durable. I've had mine in the clinics, all of my clinics for years, and they just hold up great. So these are awesome, and I definitely recommend them over, say, a Pilates mat or a yoga mat, just because if you're laying on the mat a lot, if you're on your hands and knees, it's just gonna be that much more comfortable for you. The other thing that I recommend is a good foam roller. This one is 36 inches long by 6 inches round, and that's the size that I typically stock and recommend because I think it's the most versatile. And besides doing muscle mashing kinds of moves with these, you can lay on them from your head down to your pelvis and do a whole bunch of really good postural exercises and stability work. So I love, love, love having a foam roller. 36 inches by 6 inches round is what I typically recommend. The next thing that I recommend is a good balance board. These can be found a lot of places online. It's very easy to source them. What I look for in a balance board, first of all, is you don't need an expensive balance board. They make some really fancy ones, but you do not need those. Get a pretty basic one that's obviously going to be sturdy enough to support your weight. And look at the profile here of the curve. This profile is fairly shallow, and that's important. The steeper that profile is, the further away from the ground the actual pad or support is, the tippier and the less stable it's gonna be. So if you are just getting started with balance exercises, get a low profile shorty like this. That's gonna be a little bit easier to manage at first. You can always upgrade to something that is a little bit taller and harder. The next thing, I think having boxes are super, super helpful. They're super useful. This one is 6 inches, and I have also had this one for years. It's getting a little bit beat up and nicked, but they're pretty basic to make, and you can also purchase them prefabbed. But I would look for a 4-inch, 6-inch, and an 8-inch box that ideally can stack securely one on top of the other so that you could make a taller box out of them. I do lots and lots of stair exercises, lots and lots of stepping exercises, and having the box is super handy. So we're gonna need some resistance, and I use a number of different kinds. I use these power bands here. This is a 1/4-inch band, which is fairly light for this style of loop. And that's so that I can do stuff with, say, my arms extended and not have it be too difficult for me. And for folks that are just getting over an injury, it's good to have something pretty easy to start with. And then same thing, dumbbells. It's a 1-pounder and a 2-pounder, a 5-pounder. I would say most of my patients are gonna go up in dumbbell weight until they get to maybe 10 or 12 pounds. Once they get past 12 pounds, they're starting to really move some resistance around, and often at that point I just recommend joining a gym unless folks are really invested in exercising seriously at home. But for most people, anywhere from 1 or 2-pounder on the low end up to, say, 12 pounds, maybe 15 pounds if you have the space and you don't mind an extra set. For these little ones, I do like having these. The other alternative is to use things like a soup can or a water bottle that you can weigh and take water out until you get it to where you want it. But having the weights is just pretty handy. And then the other style of resistance that we'll use are these TheraBands. These are just very, very common in the physical therapy clinic. And they're fairly affordable, pretty versatile, but they're not super durable If they get any nicks at all, they will tear and rupture. And so they do need a little bit of extra care. And if they're exposed to sunlight, if you hang them somewhere and they get some daylight on them, that's going to degrade them even further. So for that reason, I think these are good short term, maybe 2 or 3 months. If you're going to be sticking with your program for longer than that, having some weights as well as some bands, both, I think is super helpful. And there are so many different pieces of exercise equipment and tools out there. What I've just shared with you, that really is kind of my go-to. Those are the things that I use every day, patient after patient. I will incorporate some specific tools depending upon the case, especially as people get into the more advanced stages. But if you're looking for a very bare bones, basic set of tools to have at home, you can't go wrong with what I've just shared with you. Thanks for coming by as always, and I hope to see you soon.